Okay. For example, as you can see here, in the case of pollination of flowers, what do we see? That both of them are getting benefited here. The bee here is getting nectar from the flower, and the flower is getting pollinated because of the bee, right now. And then we see in the case of the whales, right now. So in this case, we get to see that in the on the body of the whales, so many barnacles grow, right now. So barnacles are growing over the body of the whales, and they are basically eating the dead tissue, right now. They are basically sucking up the blood and taking nutrition from the body of this whale. So thereby what happens? The barnacles are getting food from the whale, but the whale in return is not getting any benefit, right now. So there's a one way benefit relation here, right now. So whale is basically unaffected here. It's not being harmed, neither it is being benefited. The
Yes, sir.
barnacles are being benefited. So that is commensalism, right now. And then you have this parasitism. So here we see that so many ticks are feeding on the blood of the cat. So thereby cat develops irritation, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in the case of heterotrophic plants, we see the symbiotic relationship between the algae and the fungi, right? So here, what do we observe? Yeah, you must have read about the symbiotic relationship about the in between the algae and the fungi. So thereby, one of them is photosynthetic and one of them is aphotosynthetic, right now. So algae, we know that there are three types of autotrophic organisms. They are what? Green plants, algae, and a bacteria whose name is, yeah,
Fungi.
no, there's a bacteria also that can
Amoeba.
perform photosynthesis. Not
Amoeba.
amoeba, no, not amoeba.
Sir,
It was
which bacteria?
cyanobacteria, exactly. Okay, cyanobacteria. So they can perform photosynthesis. So algae here is also photosynthetic in nature because they consist of chlorophyll in them. Okay. But then the thing is that algae cannot take water from the surrounding on its own. So this algae, what it has to do, it relies upon the fungus. Getting it now? So fungus will be getting water for the algae, right now, and in return, fungus gets the food that is prepared by the algae. So hence, both of them are getting benefited from each other. So thereby, whenever they will be found together, they will exist in the form of lichens. As you can see in this image over here, that this plant is affected by the lichens. Yeah. Okay. That is a symbiotic relationship. Getting it now? So basically, symbiotic relationship, we say that those organisms that live together and they are sharing their shelters, they are sharing their nutrients. So they are said to be in a symbiotic relationship. Yeah, Tessin, how do we define symbiotic relationship? Do define this?
Sir, symbiotic plants, the plants which mutually benefit from each other.
Hmm.
And they are also called symbiosis or mutualism. And lichen is the good example for symbiotic plant.
Mm-hmm. Good. There are some other examples also which we will be covering in a moment. So first of all,
Yes.
let's define symbiotic relationship. First of all, when I will define symbiotic relationship, it will be a general definition covering all the organisms. It's not just in the case of fungus and algae that we see symbiotic relationship. There are several other examples also, like as I showed you here. Okay, these are also examples of symbiotic relationships. But the thing is now, as you said, mutualism. Yeah, symbiotics can be of types. One where both of them are getting benefited, while in some cases one of them might be getting benefited, while the another one might not be getting benefited, right now, and neither being harmed. And then this one is also symbiosis, right now. Why? Because because the nutrients are being shared here. Okay, shared from the blood of this cat to the ticks. While we don't consider which one is getting benefited or which one is getting harmed. Okay. Hmm. So
Yes,
we
sir.
say that when organisms when organisms are living together and share their shelter and nutrients, it is said to be a symbiotic relationship. So if I were to talk about the types of symbiotic relationship, what are they? It could be mutualism.
Mutualism.
Hmm.
Then I can't remember the second one, but the third one is parrotism.
Okay, it's commensalism.
Ah,
Okay,
common sense.
and the third one is para
Parrotism.
parasitism.
Parasitism.
Right. So these are the types of symbiotic relationship, and here we see in the case of fungus and algae. In fact, the interesting thing about this about the lichens are that they are indicators of what? Indicators of pollution.
Indicators of polygon.
Pollution.
Pollution. Oh,
Pollution. Yeah. So if an area is contaminated, if an area is having high contamination, okay, so it means and if you see the lichens are growing there, it's a sign that that area is highly contaminated by the pollutants, right now. Okay, then what are some other examples of this? Some
lichen. I mean, plant.
symbiotic relationship.
Sir, in our reader, only one example is there, and we only learn one example.
Okay, okay, you can remember some other examples also, like you have certain fungus that are living in the roots of trees. Okay, some funguses living in roots of trees right now, so they are deriving nutrition from the trees. Okay, so trees, what does they do? They will be providing nutrients to the fungus, and the tree is also getting benefited from the fungus. You know how? In return for providing nutrition to this fungus, how does the tree gets benefited? Tree receives help from it by taking up water and nutrients from the soil, right ना तहसीन? So फंगस को प्लांट से न्यूट्रिशन मिल रही होती है, एंड प्लांट्स को फंगस हेल्प करता है वाटर और न्यूट्रिएंट्स सॉइल से एब्जॉर्ब करने में, राइट? So
Right,
that
sir.
is another example. Then we could take example of one more bacteria here. एक बैक्टीरिया के एग्जांपल हम ले सकते हैं, that is a rhizobium bacteria. Okay, rhizobium bacteria, that is also an example of symbiotic relationship. In few minutes I will be covering that also. Okay, so just as of now, just remember this example. Okay, right? Now, how does this bacteria help the plant? The question is the answer to that is that this bacteria will be helping the plant in getting nitrogen from the soil, right now, and in return the plants will be providing, the roots of the plants will be providing shelter to this bacteria. Okay, have a look at this image. Yeah, Tehseen, what do you see in this image?
Sir,
What do we see?
this rhizobium it lives in the root
Hmm.
nodule.
Root nodules, exactly. Okay, we live in the root nodules of the leguminous plants. Okay,
Yes.
like gram, peas, moong. Okay, in plants के root nodules में ये पाए जाते हैं. Okay, and
Sir,
they are
it
very helpful. Mhm.
So they convert the atmospheric nitrogen into usable form. Like example,
Exactly.
the plant in return provides food and shelter to the bacteria. Like that.
Mhm. Exactly, exactly. That is correct. Okay, so that is the process of nitrogen fixation now, where we will study like how atmospheric nitrogen is not in usable form for the plant. So hence it has to be converted into usable form. So thereby there are several steps via which atmospheric nitrogen can be converted in a form which can be utilized by the plants. So it can be done by the lightning. It can be by this rhizobium bacteria also. So we will come to that also. Okay, but let's do finish this symbiotic relationship right now. So these are some other examples apart from the lichens. So we did basically cover these two other examples, rhizobium bacteria and then certain funguses that are living in the roots of the trees. So remember those examples as well.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Hmm. Okay. Now, yes. Now you see, by the way, the parasitic type of heterotrophic plant we have discussed right now. Heterotroph, parasitic type of plants, saprotrophs, insectivorous plants. We have covered all
Sir,
that, right?
yeah, yes, sir.
Hmm. So we are
These
almost at the
are
last
the
topic.
replenishment in the soil.
Hmm. Now we are going to talk about how soil plays an active role. Okay, and how certain bacteria plays an active role in replenishing the lost nutrients of the soil. Okay, okay. Look here. We know that plants they get their nutrients from the soil mainly. That is the main source from where they are getting their nutrients. Okay, but then the nutrient has to be available there continuously because plants are getting nutrients from the soil continuously. Okay, so there has to be replenishment of the nutrients that are being lost from the soil. Okay, we do replenish the lost nutrient from the soil in many ways. We add fertilizers, we add manures to it. Okay, so those are some ways in which there is human intervention. But then there are some biological ways, natural ways in which there's an auto replenishment of the lost nutrients in the soil, right? Tazeen? यहाँ पर
Right.
human की intervention नहीं होती है. Okay, so fertilizers and manures we use that they basically consist of potassium, phosphorus, and nitrogen, all of which are important for the plants. Okay, you can add potassium here as well. Okay, so like जब मैं manures and fertilizers का use करूँगा, especially when I will be using fertilizers, so thereby most of the nutrient requirements of the plant will be met very easily, right? If I were to use manures, some of the nutritional requirements of the plant will be met. But when I rely upon the natural processes now, only one or two type of nutrients will be replenished in the soil. Okay. So although naturally जो replenish हो रही है nutrients that is also important, but then it cannot match with the amount of nutrients that are being replenished by the help of fertilizers and
Sir,
manures. Yeah.
so like the fertilizers and manure like
Hmm.
contain and like rich in nitrogen.
Hmm.
Uh, sir, why did you add potassium? It's already mentioned.
Okay, okay, sorry, I didn't saw that. Yeah, potassium is also already mentioned. Hmm.
Yeah.
So potassium, nitrogen, phosphorus, these are the main nutrients required by the plants. Okay. And also like nutrients have been classified as the major nutrients and the minor nutrients. Some of the nutrients are required in more quantity, some of them are required in lesser amount of quantity by the soil. Okay. Can you think of like how many nutrients are required by the soil? How many nutrients are required by
What's
the
that?
soil?
Sorry.
My question to you is that how many nutrients are required by the soil?
Sir, like what do you mean by that
Like
question? Like
it's not just like nitrogen, phosphorus, or potassium that is required by the soil. There are some other nutrients also required by the soil.
Sir,
Huh?
nitrogen,
Like
right?
it, nitrogen is there, potassium is there, phosphorus is there. In
Magnesium.
in short, we call them as NPK.
Sir, magnesium.
Magnesium is required, hydrogen is
Uh,
required, oxygen
then,
is required.
sir,
Mhm.
also sodium
Sodium is also required. Okay.
and sodium chlorine, and
Chlorine, not necessarily. You have example of sulfur also. Sulfur is also required.
yes.
ठीक है ना? Copper is required. Then manganese, iron is required. In
Sir,
total,
carbon
no.
dioxide is also required.
Carbon dioxide is also required. But then when we study about minerals, when we study about minerals here, we don't consider carbon dioxide as together. We consider carbon and oxygen. Like this we study. हम elements के form में बात करते हैं, right? No, not the whole compound. So in total, no, there are 18 nutrients that are required by the plants. How many?
18.
18 nutrients that are being required by the plants. So out of these, 15 are very essential for the plants. Okay, right? So if I were to see, अगर मैं देखता हूँ like nutrients like hydrogen, okay, nutrients, mineral, like carbon, oxygen. Okay, so these are obtained from the atmosphere. Why the process of these are obtained from the atmosphere? Why the process of photosynthesis? Right, right, Tahsin. Hydrogen
Right,
from
sir.
water, it will be taken up. Carbon from CO2, carbon will be taken up. Oxygen will be again taken up from carbon dioxide से हम ऑक्सीजन ले लेंगे, यहाँ से भी वाटर से भी ऑक्सीजन प्लांट को मिल जाएगा. Right now,
Yes, sir.
because water
Yes.
and carbon dioxide also consist of oxygen in it. Okay, then there are some nutrients that are required from the soil. So soil से जो nutrients plant को चाहिए होते हैं, they are mainly nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, then you have sulfur,
Magnesium,
magnesium. Okay, you have then
potassium,
calcium. Potassium I have written over here. K here
sodium,
represents potassium.
sodium.
Sodium. Sodium is also there. Then you have iron. Fe represents iron over here. ठीक है? Iron का symbol Fe होता है. Capital F,
Okay, next,
small
sir.
e. Yeah. There are some other examples like boron की भी जरूरत होती है. Boron. Boron. Zinc. Okay. Then you have manganese also. Amman means manganese. Mg means magnesium.
Sir, hydrochloric.
Hydrochloric, that is an acid. Okay, that is not an element. Look, there's a difference between element and a compound. Huh? Like when I say like hydrogen, potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron, etc., these are all elements. But when I say carbon dioxide, okay, when I say hydrochloric acid like HCl, okay, when I say sulfur dioxide, so there you are having more than one element, so those are compounds. So we are not talking about compounds, we are only talking about elements here. Okay, Tehseen.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
so don't get too confused. Like just remember these are three elements taken from the atmosphere by the process of photosynthesis, and these are taken from the soil. Okay, there are some other examples also, like have I written calcium? Yeah. Copper? No. Copper, Cu here is copper. Okay, so these are basically required um, by the plants. ठीक है, अब
The
इनमें से
potassium
प्राइमरी.
sulfate also, and super phosphate.
Look, the examples which you are seeing over here now, those are found in the fertilizers. Okay, I
Okay.
guess you are quoting the name of the components found in the fertilizers. Okay,
Yes.
here basically the fertilizers that are being provided to the soil, they are also rich in these nutrients. Almost all the nutrients are found in the
Yes.
fertilizers. Now, out of all these, the first three that you see, they are the primary nutrients required by the soil, by the plant, I mean. So we call them as primary nutrients. Okay,
Yes, sir.
and then you have some other examples. Okay, now अब बात ये है, the thing here is that like nitrogen, Nitrogen will not be absorbed in direct form. Nitrogen will be absorbed from NH4 plus. एटमोस्फेयर में नाइट्रोजन किस फॉर्म में प्रेजेंट है? यस तहसीन, द
What's
एटमोस्फेरिक
up?
नाइट्रोजन, द एटमोस्फेरिक नाइट्रोजन इज व्हाट? हमारे एटमोस्फेयर में जो नाइट्रोजन प्रेजेंट है, दैट इज N2.
Sir, with the help of rhizobium bacteria.
हाँ, look, what I'm trying to explain to you here is that this N2 here is atmospheric nitrogen. ठीक है, एटमोस्फेयर में नाइट्रोजन इस फॉर्म में एग्जिस्ट करते हैं, राइट? बट प्लांट विल बी एब्सॉर्बिंग नाइट्रोजन अगर वो हाइड्रोजन के साथ हो, if it is in the form of NH4 plus. Getting it now? हाँ,
Yes, sir.
प्लस अगर वो NO3 के फॉर्म में हो, ठीक है? सो नाइट्रोजन जो हम बात करते हैं कि राइजोबियम इज हेल्पिंग, सो एक्चुअली राइजोबियम is helping convert this nitrogen into these two forms. ठीक है ना? क्योंकि ये फॉर्म प्लांट एब्जॉर्ब नहीं करेगा नाइट्रोजन का, प्लांट विल एब्जॉर्ब नाइट्रोजन ओनली व्हेन इट इज इन दिस फॉर्म ऑफ अमोनियम और इन दिस फॉर्म ऑफ नाइट्रेट। जब वो अमोनियम एंड नाइट्रेट के फॉर्म में होगा, देन ओनली द नाइट्रोजन विल बी एब्जॉर्ब बाय द सॉइल। गेटिंग इट नाउ? ओके,
Sir, can you explain again once more? I
हाँ
didn't
श्योर। Look, the thing is now, the plant will not be taking up the nitrogen in this form. हमारे एटमोस्फेयर में नाइट्रोजन इस फॉर्म में एग्जिस्ट करता है। ओके ना? आर यू
understand.
एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस थिंग व्हाट आई जस्ट सेड, that
Yes,
in our atmosphere hydrogen exists in
in
nitrogen
the
exists in this form?
in the atmosphere that exists in that form, the plants cannot take it in.
No, so it has to be converted into either these form or either in this form.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so it is basically done in the soil by the help of rhizobium bacteria. So then only, so we say now this is the absorbable form and this is not the absorbable form of the nitrogen. Same is the case with all other elements here. Okay now, so most of other elements that you see here, for example अगर हम बात करते हैं सल्फर की, sulfur, it is not taken up by the plant in simple form, it has to be converted into sulfate. Okay, it has to be converted into SO4 form. Getting it done? So it is not as simple as it looks like. जितना simple हमें दिखता है ये इतना simple नहीं होता है. Getting it now? Okay, shall we move ahead then?
Sir.
Yeah. So we were talking about the replenishment of the soil with the nutrients and how it is basically done. So one of the
Now,
bacteria. Mhm.
now we'll be learning addition of compost.
Addition of compost, yeah, compost, vermicompost. Okay, we will be studying that also. First of all, let's get done with this rhizobium bacteria. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what do we see here? That there's a bacteria called rhizobium which is present in the soil, which can convert nitrogen present in it in the form that can be consumed by the plants. So that form is basically NH4 plus or NH4 simply आप समझते हैं अभी. So that is simply ammonium or either NO3, that is nitrate. Okay, have a look at this diagram. I hope it will be more clear now.
Yes, sir. Should I note it down?
You can note it down or either take the screenshot. Okay. Yeah, do let me know once you are done writing this. Okay.
Sir, I also have to write the plants get their nutrients from the soil, like the description.
No, not necessarily that. Just write the key points. Okay, now you don't need to write the whole paragraph over here. So just need to write like plants will be getting their nutrients. Like the nutrients in the soil are replenished by the help of fertilizers first.
Underline,
Okay,
underline.
manure. Okay, then you will be mentioning the primary nutrients. So you will be mentioning them as potassium, phosphorus, and nitrogen. Right. Then after that, you will be writing about the elements that are um, taken up by the plant by the process of photosynthesis. So you will list them because they are very important. Okay, and then
So
you
the
will,
bacteria.
yeah, after you have written down the nutrients that are taken from the photosynthesis process ना, इसके बाद आप लिखेंगे some, just quote some examples. Okay, just quote some examples of the elements that are taken up from the soil. So you will be mentioning nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. You can quote one or two more examples. And then finally, you will be quoting the example of rhizobium bacteria.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
now. Mhm. Apart from these, there are some other methods also. How do we replenish the soil with the nutrients? Okay, like there is vermicompost is there, right? Okay. Also, do remember one more thing, that this rhizobium bacteria which we are going to study, they are found not in all the plants. They are found in only certain plants. Like they can be found in grams, in peas, in pulses, in beans. ठीक है ना? And those plants are called as leguminous plants. Okay. Hmm. You are done, Tessin?
Sir, almost done.
Okay.
Sir, done.
Done? Good. Okay. So the roots which you are seeing over here, as you mentioned earlier, like they have got bulb-like structures present on their roots, and they are called as nodules. Okay, and inside the nodule lives this rhizobium bacteria, right now. And how it is also an example of a symbiotic relationship, like the rhizobium is helping to fix the atmospheric nitrogen into the usable form while it is getting shelter from the plants, right? Okay, so now let's do understand like how nitrogen fixation is basically being done by this bacteria. Okay, so like nitrogen is an important nutrient required for the soil. Okay, and the nitrogen that is in the atmosphere cannot be taken up easily. Okay, so thereby it has to be converted in a form that can be used up by the plants. So the process of fixing of nitrogen from the atmosphere into the soil, here we are fixing the atmospheric nitrogen into the soil, thereby the term is fixation here, and that is nitrogen fixation. Okay, so from this diagram let's get to understand what is being basically told in this diagram over here. So first of all, look, see the lightning, there's a lightning over here. So one of the ways how atmospheric nitrogen can be fixed into the soil is lightning. Okay, Tehseen. So method
Yes.
number one is lightning. Okay. Now second thing, look over here. Yeah. Look, these are the nitrogen fixing bacteria, that is rhizobium. First, look at where I'm pointing. Okay, don't look here and there. Just look at over here, right? So atmospheric nitrogen right now it is in the form of N2. अभी ये N2 की form में है. Getting it now? Later on, it will be converted into form of NH3. ठीक है? And then now it will be converted into the form of NO3, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the atmospheric nitrogen here is being converted into NH3, okay, and then into NO3, right? Now this NO3 which you are seeing over here, that is now being taken up by the plant. See the assimilation, that is being basically absorption. Assimilation means it also means absorption of nutrients, right? Now assimilation is there in our body also. जब हम बढ़ते हैं कि the absorption of nutrients by the cells of the body, it has been called as assimilation now. So look what happened. The journey of nitrogen from N2 to NO3 has been like this. First of all, it was being taken up by the nitrogen fixing bacteria, that is rhizobium. Later on it was converted into NH3 and now into NO3. And this we call as nitrate. Okay? If you remember, moments ago I told you like NO3 is the, that is nitrate is the usable form for the plants. This is the form in which nitrogen can be taken up by the plant. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now look at another process over here. Look, the cow dung, it consists of ammonia in it. This is ammonium. Okay. Later on, ammonium is converted into nitrite. Okay. It is being converted into nitrite. And then there are some other bacteria present in the soil that converts that nitrite now into nitrate. Again, then it is being absorbed by the soil. Right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And there are one more type of bacteria found in the soil. Look, उन्हें हम denitrifying bacteria कहते हैं. There what happens? Now the nitrates are being converted into nitrogen gas.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the whole process here is as follows. So first of all, क्या हो रहा है? First of all, the nitrogen here is being converted from nitrogen gas to the nitrate. Okay now. So first of all, lightning से भी nitrogen gas fixation हो सकती है. Other thing is the with the help of rhizobium bacteria, and then you have got the cow dungs. Okay, or for example, अगर let's say there's a dead animal lying over here. अगर यहाँ पे कोई dead animal है, okay, तहसीन.
Yes,
So
sir.
when the body of dead animals will decompose, from there also the nitrogen will be mixing in the soil. Getting it now? So there are several ways in which nitrogen can mix into the soil, in which it can get fixed into the soil. Okay, but then it has to be converted finally into nitrate to be absorbed by the soil. इसे nitrate की form में convert होना होता है. Getting it now?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Also sometimes what happens? The nitrate is converted back into nitrogen gas also. So what do we see here? There's a cycle of nitrogen going over here, right now. Here in the atmosphere, it was in the form of N2. When it entered in the soil, it acquired different forms. It was converted finally into nitrate, and then again into nitrogen gas. Hope it makes sense. Hope it is clear to you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hmm. So this was all about nitrogen cycle. This is how the nitrogen was being fixed into the soil. Okay. And then there are some other ways of replenishing the lost nutrients of the soil. Like आपने शायद पढ़ा होगा about the crop rotation.
Sir, what?
Crop rotation. Have you
Yes.
studied about this?
No, sir. We don't have it.
Okay, look, I will just discuss it in brief. Okay, look here. If you haven't studied it, so we will be just discussing it in brief. Look, sometimes what we do cropping in a rotation. What do I mean? For example, for year one, पहले साल के लिए let's say I have different plot of land. Plot 1, plot 2, plot 3, plot 4. I have different lands. Okay, for example, for the first year on plot number 1, I am growing a let's say I'm growing a non-leguminous plant. Okay, let's say any plant which I'm growing, it's a non-leguminous plant. It does not consist of rhizobium bacteria. Okay, suppose in the plot number 2, for the same year, I am growing coffee, and coffee is a leguminous plant. ठीक है?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Plot 3 में मैं ग्रो करता हूँ, let's say cassava. I am growing this plant. फिर plot 4 में मैं क्या ग्रो करूंगा? Let's say I will be growing maize. So the one which I will be highlighting with this color now, it means they are leguminous crops. ठीक है?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's not leave this blank. Let's take non-leguminous plant here as well. So we can take example of yam. That is also a plant, but that is not leguminous. ठीक है? Now come to the second year. अब हम second year में क्या करते हैं तहसीन? Now let's grow copy in the first plot.
Excuse me, sir. Can I come back in some minutes?
Okay, no issue.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sorry for the inconvenience, sir. I had to give the phone came. I had to give to my mother.
Okay, no issue, no issue. Shall we continue then?
Sir.
So now on the first plot for the second year, I will be growing copy. Let's say यहाँ पे मैं cassava grow करता हूँ, and here I will be growing maize. Okay, and now here yam. Notice how I have done some changes over here. For the first
Sir,
year,
in the first year, you grew yam, cowpea, cassava, and maize. But in the year two, you put plot two in plot one, plot three in plot two, and plot four in plot three, and plot one in plot four.
correct, good observation. Also, if you observe one more thing, these are the leguminous plants now, the one which I have highlighted using yellow color.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So for the first year, what I did now, on my plot number 1, I grew a non-leguminous plant. अब second year में मैंने grow की है leguminous plant, right now.
So,
Now let's take one more year. थर्ड ईयर हम भी कंसिडर करते हैं. नाउ लेट्स
So
ग्रो
what do you
कैसे.
mean by like leguminous plant? Like you
हाँ.
have grown the same thing in like year one also. So how it is different in year two?
Leguminous plants are now plants that have root nodules. Okay, and in the root nodules rhizobium bacteria is found. Okay, so cassava, sorry, cowpea, maize, these are two types of plants that are leguminous plant, and they consist of rhizobium bacteria in their leaves, in their roots. Okay,
To
is that
help in the
nitrogen
yeah, nitrogen.
fixation? So now I will be growing maize on plot number 2 for the third year, then yam, and then coffee. So now this is the pattern of the crops. Maize is a leguminous plant, coffee is also leguminous plant. So notice how we are planting different types of crops on the same piece of land in a sequence. एक sequence में हम किस तरह से different crops grow कर रहे हैं on the same piece of land for different years. Now look, the reason why we are doing this here. Look, when I will be growing a non-leguminous plant for year number 1 on the plot number 1, what will happen? Whatever amount of nitrogen will be there in the soil, it will be used up by this plant. Very little amount of nitrogen will be left in the soil. Right now, is that thing clear? Now, move on to the next year. Now, in the next year on the same plot, now I am growing a leguminous plant, and I know that leguminous plant will replenish the lost nitrogen in the soil. So now it is being replenished. So now when for the third year, when I will be growing the cassava plant, the soil will have sufficient amount of nitrogen is stored in it, so that I will be now saving my money on fertilizers from nitrogen. I will be saving my money on nitrogenous fertilizers. So for the third year, like I don't have to provide the soil with the nitrogen fertilizer for the second year also. Tessin, is this thing clear or not? Please do let me know.
Yes, sir. Can you explain me year three again?
Huh. So in the year three, what happens? Like when I'm growing a non-leguminous crop here. Earlier, I grew a leguminous plant here. So leguminous plant would have fixed certain amount of nitrogen into the soil. So this plant will also be having sufficient amount of nitrogen in the soil. So
Sir,
thereby,
how do you like grow leguminous plant and like how is it non-leguminous? Like how do you know if it's leguminous or not?
I know from the fact that non-leguminous plants don't have nodules in their roots. Okay, and the rhizobium bacteria are found in the nodules of the roots now. So basically, the agriculturist, they study the roots of the different types of crops. Right now we study करते हैं, and they found that this type of crop is having rhizobium bacteria living in its roots and this one is not, so thereby we differentiate. Right now, so
Yes, sir.
here this is a system of farming where different crops are being grown on the same piece of land year after year in a very defined manner, so that it helps to maintain the fertility of the soil. Okay, so the cycle here has been designed in such a way that it helps to restore the nutrients that is lost from the soil. Okay, so this was one of the example of crop rotation system. Okay, hope you understood it. Okay, so these are some natural means. You can natural means है. Apart from these, we add vermicompost also. Yeah, what is vermicompost?
Sorry, sir.
Vermicompost. Yes.
You're asking
Vermicompost or
me,
what? Huh, I'm asking this question to you.
sir, a compost, the compost, we don't have this, the vermicompost.
Okay, you don't
But
have this in the syllabus. Uh,
yes, but I know that compost like can
mm.
be made by It's like made by using
Mm,
biodegradable waste, and it
mm.
can be also generated in our houses.
Exactly, exactly. So vermicompost, what happens? You have got some biodegradable waste. Okay, you will allow certain earthworms to grow on it. Okay, there will be certain microorganisms growing on that biodegradable substances. So earthworm will be now digesting that biodegradable substances. Right now decomposition will start. अब यहाँ पे aerobic decomposition होगी. I mean to say, in the open air you allow the waste material to decompose right now. So you will be feeding that decomposing matter with earthworms and with certain microorganisms, right? So thereby it will produce a very rich substance. That is, it will producing a organic rich substance, and it consists of a variety of different type of nutrients. Apart from that, it consists of good microorganisms required by the soil as well. Right now, there are some microorganisms that are also good for the soil as we are studying right now. Okay,
Yes.
so that is all about vermicompost. Okay, so vermicompost basically, if I were to define, it is what? It is said to be the product of the decomposition, the product of the decomposition process using earthworms, okay, certain microorganisms, certain microorganisms to create a mixture of biodegradable waste into a nutrient rich organic manure. So we can say like it is a type of manure also. Okay. Also, people actually do the production of vermicompost on a larger scale. Okay, people do production of vermicompost on a larger scale, and it is purchased by the farmers as well. Okay, so organic manuring is also done right now. Okay, so these were some of the examples, right? Okay, yeah. Is there anything else you would like to ask? Is there any questions from your side? Mm-hmm.
What's that? I
Yeah,
couldn't hear you.
is there any question from the chapter?
Sir, my only question is that how fertilizers work.
How fertilizers work? Huh.
Yes,
Look,
sir. I have never
sim
understand the concept of fertilizers.
okay. Look, fertilizers are what? Fertilizers are the chemical substances which consist of variety of nutrients that are required by the plants. Okay. There are fertilizers that consist of urea. Okay. Then there are some other types of fertilizers also that consist of sulfate in it. So fertilizers you will see now when it is fertilizers, first of all, fertilizers are never kept in open, because if you were to keep the fertilizers in the open air or in the sunlight, it will start to melt. अगर आप fertilizers को open air में रखते हैं, if you were to put it in the sunlight, it slowly starts to melt. So it has to be stored in a closed bag. ठीक? Look, if you ever saw someone using fertilizers, or how the farmers use fertilizers, fertilizers comes in different forms, but the most common type is in the form of small balls, the form of small white balls आप देखेंगे, just like you see the sugar grains. Okay, in the same manner fertilizer also look like the same. Right now if I were to hold some amount of fertilizer in my hand and keep my hand in the sunlight, the fertilizers will start to slowly melt. Okay, because the thing we
Yes.
know that the roots will be absorbing the fertilizers only if it is in soluble form, no, right? So thereby, usually fertilizers are spread to the plants in the when there is availability of sunlight. Okay, so thereby in the presence of sunlight, fertilizers slowly start to melt and then mix into the soil, and simply from there plants take up the fertilizers. As simple as that. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Is that clear?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So there's no high there's not too much technical there's not like too much of technique involved in the absorption of fertilizer. It is a very simple thing. Getting it now. Okay. Okay, so here we have completed the chapter. Okay,
Okay, sir.
so now we have got the exercise part. Okay, so have a look at the questions over here and do answer them. Yes, first question is distinguish why do organisms take food? That is a simple question. We will be taking second question.
Sir, all living organisms provide nutrient provide need nutrition for
Mm-hmm.
energy,
Hmm.
and they need nutrients which is present in any type of food which
Hmm.
is provided for us.
Yes. Okay. Second question. Yeah, read the question. What does the question says? Difference between the saprotrophs and the parasites.
Yes, sir. The parasite plants live
Hmm.
on another organism like the plant cascata, and
Mm-hmm.
they derive food from um, other um plants like this. They are called host, and what they do is they twirl around and the plant, the host, and then they suck all the food.
Hmm. So here you have given when you're saying that they twine or twirl around the crops, you're mentioning cascada. Okay, so when you give the user definition, so you have to not give the definition in terms of a particular example. It has to be general definition, right now. So we say that parasites they live on और इन होस्ट बॉडी वे होस्ट बॉडी के ऊपर या फिर होस्ट बॉडी के अंदर होते हैं and they get their food at the expense of their host, right now. So acha,
Yes,
can
sir.
you name one host that is found inside the human body, one parasite that is found inside the human body?
Sir, lice,
Not inside the human not on the human body, inside the human body.
worms.
Roundworms, tapeworm, hookworm is there, right now.
Yes, sir.
They
But on in our head, like on our head, there is lice.
Yes, that is an example of exoparasites. Okay, the one that is found on the body. Okay, what about the saprophytes then?
Sorry, sir. Yeah, saprophyte.
Saprophytes, yeah.
Sir, in the saprophyte, it's completely
Hmm.
opposite. In the saprophyte plants, they feed in dead or rotting or like decaying
Hmm.
plants, and in the deep shade of tropical forests. The saprophyte plants are whitish color, and they cannot manufacture their food by photosynthesis. They cannot perform photosynthesis.
Not necessary. It's not necessary that they have to be whitish in color. It's not necessary. Like the bread mold that you see, it's not like it is usually whitish in color. Okay, it
Yes,
could be greenish in color as well. Okay, name
yes,
one
and
example. Name two examples.
the some of the examples are molds, mushrooms, and fungi.
Hmm. And edible saprophytes.
Huh?
An edible saprophyte that can be eaten.
Edible mushrooms.
Mushroom. Okay. Next question. How do you test the presence of starch in the leaves?
Sir, by using a simple activity, um, you need to take a beaker and take a, like a you can have to boil it with water, and then take a test tube and fill it with alcohol, and then let it set for a little. Take a leaf